All right, we're live.
Josh, you're looking less gray than usual.
Yeah, I turned on the color correction filter, so
Nice.
I've got a little. It's a little. It's a little warmer. I warmed the colors up.
Nice.
It's different. I'm not sure if I like you with the sepia tones. I like you looking like a cold, heartless zombie.
Well, that's about right. So it's more accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got white light. I did. I'm actually messing with. So I bought these. I've got this track lighting in my office that I had to install, and it's got these kind of funky lights, right?
Right.
And so I bought some 5,000 Kelvin lights, which is what I want for shooting. I want a white light blue.
Yeah.
And the only problem is the ones I bought were 40-degree angle. So they were basically like very
Spotlights.
focused, narrow. So I was like,
Yeah.
I position them above me and then like shine these spots on me, right? So
Yeah.
I returned them
Nice.
and I got some 120-degree.
There you go.
So I think that should fill the room, and I could still be able to position the individual lights to kind of where I'm at in the room. So we'll see if I'm trying to get the lighting right for this office. But
Yeah. Well,
I think you're still going to want some kind of softbox.
Yeah, I've been using my 2 soft boxes that I have.
yeah,
And I'm loving these things. I definitely had to put smaller bulbs in them because they're a lot closer to me than they're meant to be.
yeah.
But once I got the camera lighting and everything adjusted and got that saved in my webcam settings app, it's been really nice having these things because it makes me stand out, and it's even lighting, and it doesn't matter if it's nighttime or daytime or
Yeah.
all those kinds of problems that I've had in the past.
Yeah, one thing that I'm going for with the lighting is probably a little bit different than what most people is. So most people want like even lighting with no shadows.
Oh, right.
I want a little bit of overhead shadow to enhance my muscles. I know that sounds weird, but like a lot of people watch my YouTube to see how ripped John is. Like, and so, and I kind of like the dimension of it too. Just like kind of some of the topics I talk about and stuff. I feel like having a little bit of the shadow, a little bit of the dramatic effect is more of what I'm.
Totally.
So it kind of fits my
opposite of that. I want the lighting to fade away all of the blobby shadowiness that I have. It makes me look better than I look in real life.
But yeah, we'll see. I'm still working. I'm making some progress. You can see I've got a piece of furniture in my office.
Oh,
yeah, an actual piece of furniture.
Holy crap, getting that up 3 flights of stairs.
Wow. Jeez.
The delivery guy, he's not supposed to step foot in the house. He was supposed to be like a curb delivery. And I was like, how'd you like to make 40 quick bucks? And he's like, I've never been in your, after we put this upstairs, I was not in your house.
Yep.
Just broadcasted over the internet, but
well, his name is, and he works for, and
so, oh my gosh, us trying to get this thing up. He was this little short Mexican guy. Like he was strong, but he was like, dude, it's like, yeah, I know, but
the desk that I'm using is 2-inch thick particle board. Like the entire thing, everything
goodness.
about this
Wow.
is 2-inch thick particle board.
Yeah.
Rock solid like you wouldn't believe. It weighs about 150 pounds, and it's large. It's 4.5 feet wide and 3.5 feet deep, or 5.5 feet wide, or whatever it is. So it's big, it's heavy, it's large. When I bought this thing, I lived in an apartment in Dallas, Texas, and it was 2 flights of stairs plus an elevator ride.
Oh yeah.
And then getting it from the place I bought it was a nightmare in itself. I had 2 very large guys who were rather strong helping me move this thing from the office building where I bought it, because I bought it for $75 during a dot-com bomb auction. I bought it for $75 along with the computer for $500, and it took me and these 2 other very large guys about 20 minutes to get it from the office into my minivan, and it took me by myself with the help of a very large dolly to wheel it, about an hour to get it from my minivan into my apartment.
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's ridiculous. And
Yeah,
I've moved it once since I put it in this office in this room, and that was ridiculously difficult. It was awful. We never actually took it out of the room. We ripped up the floor, the carpet, and put in laminate tile flooring, and we never actually moved this desk out of the office. We just moved it
it's like
around.
The piano that you just. It's like the piano you just leave behind when you move.
Exactly. Yeah. We did that when I was a kid living in Minnesota. We were moving back to Kansas, and we were like, "Yeah, bye piano."
Yeah, I think the worst thing I've ever lugged upstairs is a treadmill. That was like the base, like a big treadmill that had like a 200-pound base.
Yeah. I've carried some sofa beds. Those are pretty.
Oh yeah, those are massive.
Really heavy.
Yeah,
and then the frame wants to like boing, spring out on you while you're like, so it's always shifting and yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you have to get some cables and tie those things so that they don't spring out.
That would have been smart.
Yeah, that and dresser drawers. You either secure the dresser drawers so they don't come out, or you just take the drawers out entirely.
Exactly.
No, what you do is you pull the drawer out a little bit, put your hand inside the drawer to hold, right? And that way, when you tip it, the drawer opens, and then you tip it the other way to get it to go back in, and it slams
on your hand. Yeah. Not that you have personal experience with that or anything.
No.
But yeah, I'll have a actual functioning office pretty soon here. I hired a designer to do my whole house, and the only room I hadn't done was the office. I actually have furniture in my house now. And so now I hired her to do the office because I was like, at first I was just going to do it myself. I was like, I don't have time for this. So it'll be nice, professionally kind of designed. Nice. I just had the skylight replaced in here yesterday because I had this just when I first bought this house, I had them put in a skylight and I had them just do a regular skylight, right? And and the sun just shone straight down on and then it didn't open either. And I was like, I realized because I'm on the third floor here. So I just had that replaced with an opening one that's a dome that's opaque so that it will distribute the light.
Yeah,
so
light diffusion. That's nice.
Yeah, much improvement. So
shows off all the gray hair on your head.
Exactly. There you go. But no, that's this light.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, I don't. Amazon one day delivery failed me, so I don't have lights in my track lighting.
Yep.
So, yeah, but it'll be nice to actually have an office. I can't tell you how good it is to have furniture. That is amazing.
Yeah,
I went 3 months here without furniture, so.
So
I guess it's a wrap.
Yeah, I guess.
That's it. Yeah, there we go.
So my week was like 90% taking care of my son with pneumonia and ear infections and everything else. So it pretty much sucked. He's finally getting better. We went to a doctor on Saturday. He got diagnosed with pneumonia. So we got medications for him. This is after a month of fighting other problems. He had really bad asthma, so we got some prednisolone steroids for that. Then he had a sinus infection, so we got amoxicillin for that. And then a week after that, he got pneumonia, so we got Ceftonir or Omnicef for that. And that's what started off this week, was taking care of him while he was home, which when he gets sick, it exacerbates his movement disorder. So he's not only sick with pneumonia, but he literally can't walk, can't stand up, can't sit still. So he just constantly moves all day, every day, unless he's asleep, which means he is constantly sweating, which means he's constantly getting dehydrated, which just makes everything worse. And I mean, it's just this nasty, vicious cycle of things. And so we took him to a follow-up doctor appointment on Tuesday. that doctor said he was doing better. Give it a few more days for him to be able to go back to school. And then on Wednesday, we thought he was doing great. We were all set to send him back to school. I decided to take him in Thursday morning anyways, just to make sure. So we took him to our regular pediatrician Thursday morning. And pediatrician said, yeah, he's got a mild sinus infection again. And we'll put him on a different antibiotic. You need to finish out the ceftonir for the pneumonia, but he should be good to go back to school today. So I was like, okay, great. I can finally get back to work. So I get him home, and he's got the most mild of temperatures of like 99 degrees, which is nowhere near an actual fever, but he's starting to complain about not feeling well. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'll give you a little bit of ibuprofen, and then I'll send you to school, and you should be fine the rest of the day because, you know, ibuprofen will last 6 hours, and he's only going to be at school for 4 or 5 hours, so no big deal. So I give him the ibuprofen, and then he throws up.
No.
Oh, no.
Come on. I just want to get some work done. So he ends up staying home again on Thursday. He's fine the rest of the day. Fortunately, my wife was able to take the rest of the day off most of the rest of the day off after that. So I got to actually do some work Thursday afternoon. And then today, finally Friday, he's back at school like he's supposed to be. But geez, it's just been like a nightmare of what's wrong with him today for the entire week. But in the midst of all of that, I couldn't do a whole lot of work, but I got a few bits and pieces of time here and there, and I started looking at the homepage on Watch Me Code. After I've had a lot of feedback on that homepage recently, a lot of people basically telling me they have no idea what the site is about from the homepage. And so I've been thinking through that and looking at other sites like Egghead.io and a few other places to see how they talk about their service on their homepage. And I spent yesterday afternoon and this morning making, not completely overhauling it, but making a lot of significant changes to it, including finally adding a real intro video to the homepage instead of that screencast example that I had on there. I sat down for 20 minutes yesterday and recorded me talking, and then edited some screenshots and things into it as I'm talking about the site, and posted that on the homepage. Changed up a lot of the wording. Included the idea. Had been talking with my marketing guy before I had to fire him about refocusing and rebranding Watch Me Code. Before I fired him, you know.
We fire people here. This
we do.
We fire people.
I've fired like a lot of people live on this show, but that's a story for next week when we get Chuck. Yeah, so I've been talking with him about rebranding and refocusing the content to do one of two things: to either add more front-end framework stuff, which I'm not really interested in, or just to refocus the site on back-end stuff. And so I started going down the path of refocusing the marketing message and everything on back-end code, including changing the very first message that you see on the homepage and calling it Node.js and JavaScript Screencast for back-end developers, being very explicit about who I'm targeting and the kind of content that you're gonna be focused on the site. And then I added things like icons for the technology stacks that I use, and I highlighted or updated the highlights around the very first testimonial that I have on the site, including putting the guy's image on there, and a few other miscellaneous things like that on the homepage. Also simplified the navigation a little bit. There used to be 4 menu systems on the left, which was obnoxious. So I simplified it to screencasts, interviews, and ebooks.
think you definitely more menu systems is better. So
yeah, totally. I only had 17 menu items. I needed at least 25 more. So it's just they're doing a lot of those little things, trying to make the site more obvious. Like when you click on Screencast now, you get the search box at the very top, but then you get the featured screencast series with the description sitting next to it instead of just the big giant image, and that was it. And so lots of little things to try and make the content and the information more apparent and easier to understand and easier to navigate and all that. And then last weekend, just before my son got diagnosed with pneumonia, I very quietly re-enabled monthly subscriptions for Watch Me Code and made a few adjustments based on that. So I now have the annual plan, which basically stayed the same, but I also have the monthly subscription option, which is $30 a month. And I made a very deliberate decision to limit the monthly option to only screencasts. That's all you get. So if you want the interviews, if you want the ebooks, if you want access to Slack, if you want everything beyond just the screencasts, you got to go for the annual subscription.
This is actually good. At first, when you said this, I was like, no, Derek, hang on, buddy. But now when I'm looking at this, I'm like, I think this is going to – I don't think people are going to buy the monthly. I think it's going to help sell the yearly.
Yeah, which was what I've been thinking as well. Interestingly, I've had one person this week sign up for the monthly and one person sign up for the annual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's been interesting to see. The guy that signed up for the monthly, he's a guy that I've kind of sort of halfway known for a while. I think he lives in Dallas, if I remember right. So he was asking me some questions about Mongoose and MongoDB and the screencast series that I have. And he was looking at the pricing, and he got confused by the way that I had listed things initially. So I used his feedback on the pricing page to clarify the monthly versus annual quite a bit, made some of the items bold and separated them out so that it's easier to see what the differences really are.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, I was like, okay, cool. Let me know if you have any more questions. And like a day later, he signed up for the monthly subscription. So I asked him, hey, if you don't mind me asking, why did you choose the monthly versus the annual? Promise not to try and upsell you anything. I'm just looking for feedback. And what it really came down to was it's hard to justify $350 when I know I can get what I need right now for $30. So that's fair. I mean, that's totally understandable. But he's considering the upgrade if he sticks around for long enough. And he gave me quite a bit of other feedback as well that I need to dig through and put into my feedback list so I can start reviewing some of this stuff. But I think overall it's a pretty good setup in terms of the price difference and the features and benefits that you get between the monthly and the annual.
So the additional benefits, you've got access to all the interviews, access to all the books. Make it like access to 50 interviews, access to X number of books.
Okay.
Be as specific as possible in those additional benefits, and that'll help you.
You might even list them out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
One other thing here is this is kind of minor, but I would line the buttons up. So get the screencast button all the way down that they line up, because that way you're showing that big empty space.
Oh, yeah.
Emphasize it. Well, for one thing, you want them to scroll to that call to action anyway.
Right.
You want them to see both calls to action, but then they have to scroll past and see, how much more stuff is in for the $349.
Gotcha.
A year. Also, I would get your money back, some kind of money back guarantee. You might want to take that trust seal for the money back guarantee and put that above the fold, even like the upper right corner, so that it's, and that way, have it kind of overlapping the all access membership or even in between them or something like that, so that you can see that because no one's going to see it down there right now.
Right.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
But I'm actually liking this a lot. I think you did it. The homepage is looking good. What's your number one thing that you want them to do then for the homepage? Is it click to the pricing page?
No, actually, the number one thing I want is for them to watch that intro video for them to really understand what the site is about.
Okay. Find a way to measure that. So like you could set up Hotjar on the page and like track the views or something like that. But yeah, find a way to measure that. You might even have there might even be a way to push people to that video in multiple places on the page.
Right.
So it's not just in one place. But yeah, just having it there at the top of the page, it should get a lot of interaction just from that.
Yeah, it's had quite a bit. I uploaded it as a public video on YouTube, so I think there's some of my YouTube subscribers that are watching it, but in the 12 hours or whatever, 18 hours that I've had it uploaded, it's had 40 views and 3 upvotes in my YouTube statistics. So it's definitely getting views, which is a good thing.
Nice.
And if I look at the old video that I had on there, that video had thousands of views just because it was sitting on the homepage of the site.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I think this is a huge improvement. There's still a lot of things that I can definitely improve, and I'll adjust that pricing page, like you said, to line up those buttons vertically.
Yeah. I think so. Like the headline, the Node.js and JavaScript screencast for backend developers is kind of. I'm not sure that that's like going to kill it for you, but
it's a whole lot better than it was.
Way better, yeah. Like that's a really good place to start.
Yeah,
it's just calling out exactly who it's for.
Right.
And so if you're gonna, you can test from here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is looking good. One other thing I would suggest would be maybe you might want to like take the page width in just a tiny bit. It gets a little wide at a couple. Yeah, just a tiny bit. Especially the testimonial. Watch Me Code will completely change how you think about JavaScript. The rest of it's pretty good. Like the headline and all that's fine.
Right.
And then the bullet points learn.
That testimonial is what I was working on this morning, and I see what you're saying about that being too wide. It was more narrow. I had a hard time getting the stupid CSS right to get his image sitting next to the quote. Yeah. There's just way too much garbage CSS sitting on this homepage from hundreds of updates and changes, and so I need to figure out what the real problem was and get that fixed. But yeah, I can narrow the quote in there and make it easier to read.
Yep.
All those icons are broken for me.
Yeah, me too, actually.
All the icons are broken on your homepage for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they weren't. I think they weren't. I'm looking at sub.watchmecode.net, so maybe that's why. Is that where it redirects to?
Let me see. I went to watchmecode.net.
Yeah, they're all broken.
Yeah.
They all be broken. So we can all debug Derek's site here. But yeah, no, this is a huge improvement. And but narrowing your focus to, I think you're probably going to need to narrow it further from the back end, like where it is now. But this is a huge improvement over where things were 3 weeks ago.
I like the idea of having the video to sell a video service too. That makes sense.
We lost Derek.
Oh no.
So yeah, we should definitely continue to give Derek advice while he's gone.
What happened to him? It's like my icons don't work. I am leaving. That's it.
Yeah.
You guys are too harsh. Stop it.
So I don't know. I was going to ask you something. Oh, there's Derek. Derek's back.
Hey, that was
there
fun. So I'm sitting there talking to you guys, wondering why you suddenly stopped talking.
Okay. You were talking over me a couple times. I was trying to like not step on you, and I think that we were having some kind of lag or something. So
Yeah, there was something going on my end. Okay, what were we talking about before I dropped?
I don't know if you heard me say it, but I was just going to say I think that you might need to narrow down more than Node.js and JavaScript for backend, but that's like a huge improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And you might, if you get traction with this, then might not need to go any narrower than that.
Yeah.
But I mean, now you've got like I feel like this is a pretty solid offer. Like you can kind of just see how people respond to this.
Yeah.
And that like gives you a good baseline.
Right. And for as far as the homepage and the way I present the content from the marketing side, I think I'm going to make a few more tweaks that you suggested, but be done with it for now.
Yeah.
There's a big change that I want to make in the series listing. If you click on screencasts, there's like 4 or 5 different series kind of in the middle of that big pile that are basically, they should have been one better, bigger series with a better message about what it is. And this is something that I talked with Rob Connery about, and he gave me some pretty good ideas for just taking all of the content that I already have and just repurposing it into a single series with a better name and a killer description and really making it something of value. So I've got a Google Docs that he and I worked on to give me some ideas on which content should be in there and the kind of message I should be going for. So I'm going to be working on that next from a marketing perspective, but then also continuing with my current Docker series, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the Docker stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at this page here, and definitely could use a lot of work. One thing, I mean, for one thing, the grid should just go completely, because it's impossible to read it. And then like I would also get rid of the pricing. You don't want pricing at this level. You want them to click through and read more. Okay. So it should just be basically, this page should basically be a screenshot. The way I would do this is screenshot on the right, text on the left, and it would be like just like maybe 100 words of text and a headline about what it is, and then a click to read more type of deal. And then you could have a longer page for each of those actual bundles.
Okay. Screenshot on the right?
Screenshot on the right, because then you can, like, you want to, we read left to right. So you want the text to be on the left because that's where it's most scannable and most readable.
Okay.
And then the screenshot these screenshots don't add a ton. Like some of them do. Like,
and that's another thing I need to fix. Like you see the most recent one, the intro to Docker. That I've got a lot more character in that one than the restructuring jQuery one. So that's something I need to fix, is to go back and get some really distinctive icons for these. Even if they're not an actual screenshot and it's kind of like a simulated screenshot where you've got your little cartoon characters, and it's like kind of looks like a screenshot, but it's really custom designed as a thumbnail. That would be way better. But yeah, that kind of stuff is what I want to do on this page for sure. And I don't have any huge plans beyond that right now, but I think that's okay. It's a pretty good direction to move forward on.
Yeah. Well, cool. This is good progress.
Yeah. I think that
we're not getting any work done.
No. Whole lot of work done for not getting any work done.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at your. I'm peeking at your Google Analytics, Derek.
Nice.
So the homepage gets the most traffic, and then the series page gets the second most traffic.
Yep.
So cool.
I had a blog post end up in JS Weekly this week as well. The one that I posted on Monday on derekbeta.com. Does ES6 mean the end of _/Lodash? And so when I first sat down to write this post like a month ago, the title of it was going to be the death of underscore and Lodash or something like that. ES6 is the death of underscore and Lodash. And so I had this plan for what I was going to write, and then the random thought popped into my head. I wonder if other people feel this way or if it's just me. And so I sent out a Twitter poll and asked, I basically asked the question that is the title of the post. And the responses that I got were not at all what I expected. More than half the people said that they still continuously use it and don't see why they would ever get rid of it. And so I started asking follow-up questions and ended up in a brief conversation with John David Dalton, the guy that created Lodash, where he basically said, yeah, Lodash is more than just a collection of utilities. It's also helping to shape the future of JavaScript through the TC39 the JavaScript Working Committee, which is pretty cool. So then I changed the focus of the post to start out with the idea of, well, I don't use underscore and Lodash anymore, so maybe this means that they're dead. But then I go into that question and the poll and the responses and turned it into a pretty lengthy article where by the end of it, I'm basically saying long live Lodash, because it really does provide a lot of value and a lot of, and it helps shape the future of the language that just because of the way that they continuously move forward with new APIs and new ideas and everything.
I bet somebody at Google's like, whoa, where's all this Hacker News traffic coming from all of a sudden? Derek's probably burning up Hacker News and Reddit with this post and doesn't even realize it.
Probably, and I'm just like completely ignoring all that traffic. Like, what? Yeah, okay. But yeah, so that ended up in JavaScript Weekly.
That's cool.
Which was nice. And then I had... So I'm experimenting with post-footer email sign-up forms instead of the popovers, which I honestly think Peter Cooper has been ignoring blog posts that have the giant popovers anyways. Like, he won't list them. I don't think he's ever actually stated that, but I've noticed in the past that if I send him a post, even if it's like real high quality kind of stuff that he wants,
you just need to always send him the Thrive link.
Exactly.
Now, I think he listens to this show, so now we just have given away.
We've just given away all
the secret. But yeah, send him him links that have the Thrive.
Exactly. I'll enable the pop up after he includes it in the newsletter. But I've been experimenting with the post footers instead of the popovers. And in general, they're doing fairly well. They're sitting at like 1.7 percent conversion compared to a little over 2 for most of my other ones. The content upgrade ones are doing pretty good. I've got like my RabbitMQ content upgrades like 4.6, and my free Docker episodes one is like 2.7. But the one that I stuck into this post yesterday or Monday is miserable. It's like it's barely converting anything at all. So I originally, since the post was originally talking about ES6, I was like, okay, I can maybe use this as an opportunity to get course and then send them info about Wes Boss's ES6 course with my affiliate link. And so I had a pretty good post footer worked up for that and had it included in there initially. And for the 2,400 views of that ES6 post footer, I got 14 conversions, which is a 0.57 conversion rate, which is just awful, ridiculously awful. So I ended up changing it out to the more generic, frustrated with JavaScript, this post footer that I have in there now, which is doing okay. I've had, actually I don't have the stats just for that post, but I think I've had 20 or 30 people join through that in the last 2 days.
It depends on the traffic too. I mean, it may not be the
that's
offer.
true.
It may be that because it was in JS
Right.
Weekly and people are just like click happy and they're just like scanning the article versus people that are really interested in the article. So that could.
That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep a close eye on the pop-up thing because I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but Google announced that they're gonna be basically squashing people that use pop-ups.
On mobile is what it looks like.
That was a big focus of it, was mobile, but it's going to affect rankings for browsers as well.
Yeah. And I think what it is it's the content gate. Like there's some big publishers on the web who you go to their site, like I think Forbes.com and all those that whole group, and you get this like advertisement that fills the screen and you have to click next in order to do that. Yeah, I think that's what they're targeting. I'm suspecting that our stuff isn't going to get hit by that. I think it's going to be those things.
I hope you're right.
I see what you're saying based on the info that I read, but I think they wrote it ambiguous enough. The official statement from Google was ambiguous enough that they could very easily lump all popovers, welcome mats, things like that.
Yeah, I kind of think that. Yeah, I kind of think that they are going to do that, and because the way the article I was reading mentioned basically welcome mats, like anything that shows that you have to scroll past to see the content or anything that you have to click through. It seems like that's they're kind of, they have all that stuff in their crosshairs. So they want to force you to pay for. They don't want you to have a big email list because then you have your own traffic and you can make money without paying for AdWords. That is their motivation.
Welcome, Chuck.
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, Chuck.
Right.
Found some free time in between conference sessions.
Yeah, so I schedule a half hour between the first two talks of the day and the second two talks of the day.
Okay.
I'm going to be restructuring the way that I do the conferences next year, but yeah, that's the way it is this year. So the talk got over a little early, so I've got about 20 minutes left of the time that was allotted to that, and then about a half hour for that break. Awesome. I'll probably jump off about 10 minutes before then so I can get the next speaker.
Right.
But yeah.
Nice.
And between then, I guess I'm just throwing more fuel on this fire.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
What fire?
What fire? It's all your fault.
It is.
No,
it's entirely Josh's fault. Jeez, Josh.
I know, right?
I got attacked on Twitter, like with a clip from from the Entrepreneur Government segment from someone we know, right? Like, I didn't know him, but now I do, I guess. Uh-huh. And he just basically like attacked me on Twitter, and then I responded like in a kind of humorous, like I didn't insult him or anything, and just was like, oh, that's funny. Like, are you really serious? Like, like trying to gauge if he's serious. And he's like, oh, it's so offensive, and so I basically, like, I didn't say anything nasty to him at all, really, and then he's like, I think I better block you.
Okay.
Right? So he blocked me on Twitter. He attacked me, and then blocked me on Twitter.
All right.
And then I was like, okay, well, go to your safe space. It's all right.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's a hilarious thing. It's like, like an unprovoked attack. Like, it's just it's crazy. I was amused by it. I was like, thanks for the entertainment, because this is just like bizarre, right? Normally, like, if I'm attacking you or something like that, sure, but this just was weird. So I was like, wow. I just feel bad because I'm like, man, if your life is such that you're so high strung that like what other people are doing affects you so much that you've got to like it like ruins your life that someone is saying something or doing something on the internet. Oh gosh, like your life it's got to be a disaster. Like you got to be constantly just like being triggered all the time and just feeling like the world is hell. Like, so I don't know, that'd be a hard way to live, but that was funny.
Maybe we should provide some context for the listener. Now that I have been made very aware that people listen to this show.
Yes.
Yeah. See, our viewer count is going up. We've got 6 live viewers now.
That's right. But anyway, so episodes 124 and 125. I know the episodes because I have been told many times. Episodes 124 and 125. We talked about, but anyway, so there was, I discussed some disagreements I was having with Mandy on the show. I probably should have been a little more circumspect about that. I will freely admit that, a public forum is probably not the place to discuss disputes with your contractors. Learned that lesson a little bit the hard way, I guess.
Although it is if you're onto programmers, and that's the purpose of this.
Well, and that's that's the other end of it, right? Is that we've all discussed openly pretty much everything we have going on in the business. Unless it's something that deeply affects the business that, we don't want to let the cat out of the bag on yet or something like that.
Right.
So, and when I was talking about it, I was thinking mastermind call. I wasn't thinking podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, it went live and I realized that I couldn't have it back. So I went back and listened because I was like, okay, people are mad at me. Do they have a legitimate reason to be mad at me? And that I shouldn't have discussed it in public, fine. And, any damage I did to Mandy's reputation, I regret because that wasn't the intention either. But I went and listened and I was only listening to myself, so I don't even remember what you guys said.
I remember starting off by saying, "I'll be the asshole, Chuck."
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I listened, and for me, I felt like what I put across was I'm trying to make this work because I care, and I want to keep her, and I think she's a great person and a good worker, and all this stuff. So, and I released a YouTube video, and I was like, look, apparently some people have misunderstood me. And I just want to make very clear that, this is what I think of Mandy. I think she's a terrific person and a good worker.
Right.
The other stuff, like being mad at me for something I did, you know what? I'll deal with that. And I'll take responsibility for the parts of it that I'm responsible for. But I have to say that, I think a lot of it is being blown way out of proportion.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are just going to go and they're going to make hay out of it until they make hay out of it. And that's fine. I really don't care. And the other thing is that I was really frustrated the first couple days that it happened. And at this point, I really have been pushed. If you were trying to wear me down at work, I could give a damn at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
There's a country song, "My Give a Damn's Busted."
Yeah. I know of at least 2 versions of that. And that's pretty much where I'm at.
I just ordered a book from Mark Manson called "The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck." So.
So did I mess up? Yeah, I messed up. But also, at this point, I've had people try and, hold me hostage. I had one of the panelists on Ruby Rogues actually say that, he started a lot of this firestorm on Twitter. So I said, well, if you're going to disagree with me, that's fine. But if you're going to disagree with me on Twitter without coming to me first, you're not on the show anymore. So I kicked him off. That was the last straw for another panelist who, we've just discussed some of the diversity issues and things like that. She didn't agree with my decisions there. She didn't agree with my decision to kick Sam off. I was trying not to say names, but anyway, so she left. I had somebody else point out that, I had brought the discussion to the public forum when I talked about it on this show. And that's totally beside the point in me kicking somebody off the show. And I let them know that. And, I don't know what the reaction is going to be there yet. I'm hoping that, this other party just understands that and, understands, look, this isn't personal for me.
Right.
And, it's, I could have handled some of this better, but it's not personal for me. And I'm not going to go through and recriminate over every little thing that I did.
There's one side note here, just I think that is worth saying to kind of all the listeners that listen to this podcast, going meta here, is this idea that you can't have your cake and eat it too. So the Entreprogrammers, I think, is unique. Like, I think we're unique here that we're all very open and that we do discuss these things in public that most people would never, ever touch in public. And so there's a real value to this, I think, because you're never going to see this anywhere else. No one is going to do this. And so you're not going to ever find out. I mean, sure, you can buy videos and courses and listen to podcasts and hear kind of what it's like to run a business. But, to be honest, like maybe there's some other format, but to be honest, the reason why I really enjoy doing this podcast, besides the benefit of the mastermind group and why I like to make it actually a podcast, is because I feel like this is the raw, unfiltered, like dirty sometimes, yes, but we're being honest. We're being extremely genuine here, and that's a huge benefit because you can't find that somewhere else. And so, part of the trade-off of that is you have to realize that all of this stuff, it goes on in other businesses. It just isn't made public. So, if you're going to come across and use something that we say on Entreprogrammers and beat people with this, you're going to be losing that, right? Because, again, the more that you again, I don't know, it's not going to silence me, but and hopefully won't silence us, but there is a trade-off, right? There is a trade-off of having, the question is, like, you got to kind of ask yourself at the end of the day, do you want to have this kind of openness and insight into business, into entrepreneurs that are trying to make a business? And do you want to actually know the kind of drama that goes on and stuff like that? If so, then you got to protect that, right? You got to say, okay, I don't agree with that, but I'm not going to call this in. I'm not going to make a huge drama and public thing of this, because there's a lot of value in seeing the dirt as well as the other stuff that goes on. And so that's where I stand on it. It's like, I'm kind of glad what you did, Chuck, because it just goes to show the genuine. I mean, you brought a real problem. You didn't make up stuff. You didn't hide stuff. Like you said, hey, look, this is what's going on, and we're going to address this. And you did it fearlessly. And so the fact that you're getting kind of beat up for that kind of goes with the territory. But at the same time, it's just a general message to people who watch and listen to the show. We're human. We make mistakes. But the difference is that we're willing to reveal those mistakes to the world and our flaws in the public. Everything I say is not correct. We all make the mistakes and do stupid things. But the level, I guess, if you find that valuable to find real stuff, then you also have to some degree, hold your tongue. Like you have to let that be and not judge, as harshly, right? I think it's easier and more acceptable to judge a polished work, right? Someone puts something out, they've edited it, they've whatever. Okay, yeah, that's it. But when someone is raw, a critical judgment there makes them be less raw next time. And if you want truth, if truth is what you're after, and if you're an entrepreneur, that should be what you're after, because you're going to go through the same crap. I guarantee you, 4 of us are not unique. We're going through the same kind of crap as any entrepreneur will. Then there's a trade-off. So
yeah, I think the real thing that I just wanted to make clear on the show is that, if I said something, or if anyone else said something that damaged Mandy's reputation, that wasn't the intent. And, if somebody came to me and asked me what it was like working with her, I'd tell them great things, But yeah, I feel like I do want to have the open conversation. I've had a few people say it was unprofessional. I've had a few people say that they're disappointed. And, I probably could have been a little more circumspect and just talked about one of my contractors that I was having an issue with. But, overall, Mandy was such a core part of the business that I don't know that it would have come across as, one of my contractors, as opposed to, the person that does everything else. Right. I don't know if people really understood why it was such a critical thing for me to talk about.
Right. Well, you'd also just made a decision, like, shortly before that, to kind of double down and go all in and have Mandy provide basically all the services that you need.
Yes.
So basically, she was your only, almost was your only contractor. So
yeah, I had Gerald and Federico, and Gerald is in Philippines, and I'm still figuring out exactly what I want him to do. But he provides enough value for what I pay him that he does, that I'm keeping him around. And Federico, we've gone from him doing programming work for me to doing video recording and scripting for me. But it's, so I did have other contractors, but they're not that core part of my business like Mandy was. And so, so when I was talking about issues with Mandy, I was talking about major issues in my business. And if I had outlined just, how critical those issues were, everyone would have known I was talking about her anyway. And
I think in the end, it's a difficult situation for all of us. We make these mistakes in public, and people will hold us to the fire because of that. And you're not the only person that's fired people on this show. I literally fired everybody that I had hired 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like gone. Like, I don't have any money. You're gone. It had nothing to do.
Josh,
there was no dispute with them.
Right. But that's part of the problem. To John's point, this is a business. We need to treat it like a business. But at the same time, these are human beings. These are people with livelihoods. These are people that have emotions, and they make snap judgments based upon the first thing that they see and the bit of information that they get from one side. And we can't expect people to always take the rational, objective look at the whole situation, because it doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. We, as a group, are very willing to make these mistakes in public so that other people can learn from this, can figure out what it takes to run a business, can do all of those things. I think there is some better balance to be had in dealing with some of these issues. Like when I first brought Mark on board to help me with organize my marketing efforts, I flat out told him, look, I talk about literally everything on Entre Programmers. If you're going to be coming on board with me, I'm going to talk about you. I'm going to tell people how good I think you're doing and the kind of work we're doing together. And he's like, yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah. So I think having that kind of upfront relationship with the people that we bring on board can help mitigate some of these problems long term. It can give somebody at least warning up front that, hey, look, if things are going great, I'm going to say great things about you. But if things are going bad, and it's, whoever's fault that is, our fault, your fault, circumstantial fault, no fault, whatever the situation is, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah. And
so I understand the points that people have about us doing this in public, because there legitimately are a lot of problems in our industry and in our society where things are done in public to make examples of people and to try and keep certain people pushed down and repressed. I don't see us doing that at all. I very seriously thought about this all week. I personally don't see that happening. I don't think we're heading down that path at all. I think we're just in a difficult circumstance, a lot of gray area, and a huge challenge that you had to work through. And decisions were made. I think we talked about things. We moved on. Ultimately, we're going to move on again. We're going to get past this. We're going to move on with our business. We're going to move on with this podcast. And we'll make mistakes again in the future. And when it happens, it happens. Yeah. Well, people hold us to the fire, and we move on.
I want to say something to your point, too, because I was surprised when Mandy came to me and was surprised about us discussing this on the show. Because, I've been part of this mastermind for, a year and a half now?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years. And I thought she knew about the show, and I thought she knew how open we were on it. Right. And so when she came to me and said, I just listened to these, I was like, really?
You should have heard what I said about you on episode 37.
I know, right? So, to that point, there was an assumption that he was up on it, and, apparently it wasn't. That was a failure on my part to communicate that. But yes, I agree. I agree that we definitely need to be open with the people we're being open about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point, Derek. I agree with that too, and that I think has slipped my mind too. It hasn't been. Josh, I'm going to talk about you on the show
It's honestly, it's easy to forget that.
It is.
We're doing this every week, and we assume that everybody we deal with knows about this show and knows it's the classic marketing problem.
Right.
I built this thing. Why don't you know about it?
Right.
You know? And well, geez. I mean, I have my own life, and I have my own things going on. You didn't tell me about it. How should I have known about it?
And most people aren't used to that. I mean, we've actually invited some people to this show where it's bad.
They're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Like, you give your numbers, like you don't hold anything back. Like, this is the format of the show, and they've said no, and we've had to turn them down and say, okay, well then, and not in a nasty way, but just in a like, this is kind of the point of the show, and it's like, at the end of the day too, we could do a good enough job tarnishing our own reputations. We don't need it to be echoed.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of, you almost like listeners of this show, like we're almost like creating this like client, confidentiality kind of thing. Like we're trusting, we're being very, very trusting in the fact that we're laying it out. And if you want to, hit us with a Mack truck, we're right there strapped to the road. You could run us over because we've all kind of said, yeah, this is a better way to live. And so, we're kind of just relying on the goodness of people to not do that. And when people do that, we're gonna have to be tough and strong, and and hopefully there's enough people say, wait a minute, hold on. Like, I don't like what you're doing. Like, I might not agree with John. He's an asshole. I agree with that. But I don't agree with, like, making it echoed throughout, like, running him over with the Mack truck. Because we're all kind of assholes. But at least John is, like, publicly not hiding it, right? You know what I mean? And I'm just using me as an example because I don't want to call one of you guys out, even though Josh is an asshole. But
one other thing that I just want to go into really quickly is, when you're dealing with something like this, there is a large group of people or it feels like a large group of people on Twitter that are mad at me, and that, I've seen tweets where they're unsubscribing from Ruby Rogues, and friends of mine are doing this, right? Yeah. And you know what? If that's what you have to do, then then do it. If you're going through this, the other thing to keep in mind is that I got a very angry email about some clips being left in Ruby Rogues where we were having some issues with Skype. I think all 3 clips in the one episode, we're having issues with Skype. We mentioned, editor, please take these out. They didn't get taken out. And I want to make the best shows for programmers. Mm-hmm. So, bothers me. It does bother me. So I issued an apology on YouTube. I'm like, yeah, this is not what we're trying to do. And I got this overwhelming response of people saying, look, we love the show. It's a great show. You screw up every once in a while. It's fine. You're human. We appreciate that. And to be perfectly honest, I think the majority of the people who listen to the show, even if they hear about these issues, they're not going to take it personally.
Right.
It's the vocal few, and they're a vocal few who are people that I know and care about. But ultimately, a lot of these people give me a lot of leeway in making mistakes. And I really, really appreciate that. And I have to keep in mind that, there are over 10,000 listeners to Ruby Rogues. And, if I lose 1,000 of them because of this, and we continue to make a great show, then they'll miss out. And also, those 10,000 other people really appreciate what we're putting out there. So I'm just going to continue to make a great show. I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and say he's completely unrepentant. That's not true. But I'm more worried about, the damage I did to Mandy than I am about whether people are pissed off at me or whether or not they're going to keep listening to the podcast because of it. So, if you don't like something I did, you can tell me. If, at the same time, if you feel like you have to quit listening to the show, then quit listening to the show. and I'll live and you'll live, and we'll all be okay, and people will still be programming at the end of the day, and that's life. But if anything, I felt yesterday I was really frustrated because of the Twitter thing, and today I just feel mostly empowered.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, look, you know what? I can do this, and this is my opportunity in the middle of all this change up to make the show that I want to make. And so, I'm making a recommitment to the shows. I'm making a recommitment to the panelists. And I'm going to be doing what it takes to make these shows into what I think they can be for the listeners. And and I'm stepping up. So yeah, I mean, if you want to throw rocks, throw rocks. But I'm not stepping down from this because even though I made mistakes, that's not what this is about for me.
And really, I think that's a big part of what this comes down to. Change is painful.
Yes.
It hurts. And on some level, change is almost always painful. And when that change affects people's lives the way that this has with contractors and panelists and everything, that sucks.
Yep.
It really does. And it's, I'm not directly involved in any of this drama other than being a part of this show, but it hurts me to see everything that's going on, to know there are so many people that are legitimately in pain over what's going on with this, more than just you, Chuck, but the other people that have been involved in this. And it really sucks. It's the nature of change. It's to some extent the nature of business. But I totally agree with your perspective of, look, we're making change. We need to move forward. This sucks. We're going to do better. We're going to learn lessons from this. But this wasn't a mistake in the direction that you're moving. This was a mistake in how we announced the change, how you announced the change, how you handled the change. How there's what you did and what you think is a mistake and all that, and you're going to move on. You're going to do better. I think that's an important aspect to this, is recognizing what part of this was a mistake and what part of this was just the difficulty and the pain of change, and that at some point change really is painful, especially when it affects people's lives.
Yeah, I think it's kind of this tactics versus strategy thing. Like, I think the strategy here is exactly dead on, exactly
right.
What you need to do and what you want to do. And there might be some tactical decisions you made that you regret. But the thing is that a lot of these people that are mad at you are mad at the strategy, and they're using the tactics as an excuse to criticize you for that.
Right.
So, so they would have been mad. They would have been mad either way. Some of them would have.
And I'll say this too, like, I think every one of us here, I'll definitely say Chuck, because I know this for sure, but I think every one of us here is here doing what we do primarily because we live to serve. Like, because we want to help people, we want to serve people. I think, I wouldn't be part of this group if I didn't feel like genuinely every single one of you genuinely loves people, like, and wants to. I can't imagine any person of any color, of any religion, of any race coming up to one of us and us rejecting them on that basis and not helping them, right? I mean, like, and I can say that for every one of you that's here, and I can definitely speak for myself, but we want to help people, and so I think sometimes people get caught up with, like you said, Josh, some of the tactics, and it's like, we need to be a little bit more, understanding, I think, and judge people by their intentions, not by what the actual content is. And it's like,
I kind of halfway disagree with that, but I get your point.
But it's true, because, like, to some degree, like, I know what you're saying. Like, intentions, it's kind of a slippery slope, because intentions does not make good. You can have the best intentions and do harm to the world. Yes, I totally agree that. But when the level, you sort of have to temper the quote harm by the intention. And I think that's the clear thing, especially in Chuck's case here. Like, I mean, tell me that Chuck has devious intentions. Like, someone tell me that Chuck is a horrible person. Come on, really? Like, you've listened to his podcast. You don't have to know. You don't have to hear Chuck talk for a long time or see his history and see what he's done and what he is about and the way that he lives his life to know that Chuck doesn't have animosity towards people. He's not racist. He's not sexist. He's not whatever a bigot in any way. And so and again, I would say the same for all of us here. So. There's stuff that people aren't going to like, but I always try to look at someone's intention. What are they, as opposed to the literal message of what they're saying, and because it also depends. It's culturally contextual as well, right? I mean, some jokes are funny in places where they would be highly inappropriate, but the intentionality of the person is the same, and that's what you got to look at. Is it like, and the reason I'm saying that is because in different cultures it's going to be a different thing. What we consider to be societally acceptable is variable. And so, what is the unvariable thing? What is the unchanging thing? To me, it's the character, right? Chuck's character is outstanding, right? If you want to say that his character is flawed, okay.
Oh, they said that too.
but it's consistency, right? It's like what is the even people with outstanding character will make quote mistakes, but what is the intention? Is it to harm? Is it to cause harm? And if it is, then by all means, yeah, let's prevent people from actively causing harm that intend to cause harm. But if someone's intention is good, even if we disagree with them, it should set the frame of how we deal with them. We might now. We don't have to stand by and support everything they do just because their intention's good, but we might address them a little bit differently and try and influence as opposed to destroy. Right? There's a time when you get in the truck and you run someone over. Right? There's a time. Right? And but it's when someone is actively causing harm. Right? We hit trolls with trucks because trolls are purposely trying to do bad things in the world. They don't have a good intention, right? So I think there's a time, and even then, right? Sometimes the softer approach is preferable because maybe you can win an enemy or change a heart or change a mind. But yeah, I don't know. That's again, I can't. All I can say is that people who know you, Chuck, know that that your intention is top notch, and we're all here to serve.
I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, the only other thing I really have to say about the way that people have reacted to some of this is that some people have genuinely reached out and said, "Hey, look, I know you're a good person, but I wanted to let you know that I don't approve of what you did." And I appreciate those people that reached out in private and said, "Look, I care, and so I'm saying something." But at the same time, there are other folks that seem like all they really care about is being right. And all they really care about is making their case because they disagree with my decisions, and they're going to argue the point. And, I've been pushed and pushed and pushed on a lot of these issues. And at this point, I've said it before, I don't care anymore. So if you were hoping to wear me down, you did. The problem is that you wore me down the other way. And and so, I've been avoiding some of these fights because I just didn't want to fight them, because I didn't want to have to, prove that I was right. And, I've realized that I don't have to prove that I'm right. And what John said is spot on with that, I know my character. I know other people know my character. I know people know who I am. And that's the whole point, is that, you can judge me by what I do. You can judge me by what I say. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to be who I am now. I'm not going to run away from these fights. I may not have great answers, but when it comes right down to it, you know what? I'm done trying to be right. I'm done trying to be politically correct. I am finished with, arguing over some of these points. If you don't like who I am, then don't listen to me. Don't, whatever. Don't block me on Twitter. I really don't care. At this point, it's much easier for me to say, I am who I am. I am doing what I feel like is right and is consistent with who I am. And if somebody has a problem with it, then there are 7 billion other people in the world that they can go pay attention to. And, if somebody has some legitimate advice for me based on, look, you did this and it wasn't cool, then I'm happy to listen. And if there's something for me to learn there, I'm happy to learn it. But if you're disagreeing with me because you have some agenda around some issue that you just can't see past, then I don't about it. And so I don't care about being right anymore. And I don't care if somebody else is going to be right or wrong, politically or, in some cause. At this point, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to make the decisions I can. I'm not going to shy away from these issues. And if people have a real problem with the way that I think, then they are welcome to come change my mind. But I retain the right to change or not change my mind based on any evidence that's presented. So I'm going to piss some more people off. I'm going to become John on YouTube.
It's a better place, though. There's more hate, but there's more love.
Yeah. But seriously, though, some of these issues I've kind of shied away from, and I really think I'm going to address some of them. I'm going to start, I really like the idea of just doing YouTube and just talking about some of this stuff. Yeah. And yeah, it's like, well, some people aren't going to like this. Well, but it's my opinion, and it's the way that I think the world works. And so if you don't like it, go watch a different video.
The only difference, I'll promise this is the last tiny little soapbox thing, which is the only difference is your filth is public. Other people have the same level of filth. It's just not public. So
true. It is so true.
It's true for everyone, right? I mean, we're all pretty much, we all are do bad things. We all think bad things. We all like but I get, the difference is, I think I commend you for having the bravery for revealing that in public as opposed to hiding it.
It's not going to make me popular, that's for sure. And I have an anecdote about this. So in the Mormon Church, one of the things that we do is we have 2 men assigned to visit every family in the congregation. So I'm assigned 1 or 2 families, and all the other men are assigned 1 or 2 families, and we have another man in the congregation that goes with us to visit, and it's to bring a message and to help out. But sometimes it's also to help with any issues that come up in family life. And I have been assigned to families that I thought had like the charmed life, like their kids were perfect, their life was perfect, they had the perfect job, they had all of the whiz-bang toys that I ever wanted and some that I never even heard of, and they seemed like they had it all together. And you go visit and you find out that they have issues too. And that, they're having trouble with their marriage, or they're having some behavior issues with their kids. And it's just because when I drive by their house, their kids playing nicely in the front yard, I assume everything is perfect, and it's not. And yeah, I'm living out in public, and yeah, some of this stuff is bound to happen. But, the other thing is I honestly, and I know people are going to think again that I'm being completely callous to this, but these people are going to be mad. They're going to hold a grudge. But most of the fire around this issue is going to be gone in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Anyway, I'm done talking about it. Unless you guys want to chime in on it, but yeah, that's pretty much my piece. I've said it. I've said it here. I've said it on other videos and YouTube, and I welcome the feedback. But if you're going to come and you're going to fire torpedoes into my mailbox, I'm just going to delete them.
Bring it on, suckers. The power of delete.
I like it, Chuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can silence anyone I don't want to hear from with one button click.
Well, I mean, this is never easy to go through, but it's also kind of develops a new part of you.
Well, and it's so freeing to just be like, you know what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah, I screwed some stuff up, but I'm still okay.
Yeah, I know. And I had a similar experience about, I guess it's been about a year or so when I started polarizing, because I was tired of walking the line, keeping it, worrying about what I said. No more.
Yep.
If I feel like I'm trying to help do good in the world and help people, and sometimes I'm wrong about it, I'm going to try to do more right than wrong, and that's going to involve going for it. So it's good. I think it's a good place.
Yep. So I'm sure there's more unpleasantness in my life in the future, but at least I get to be me.
But you're going to find some huge supporters too.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the case too. I was talking to my wife about it because she's like, yeah, well, what does this mean for everything else? And it's funny because she's like, what about, she didn't even ask sponsors or money or anything. It's just like, so what does this mean? Instead of probably going to lose a few people. And then I kind of said, but I think in the end, people are going to appreciate who I am. And then, those numbers, if they matter, which to the degree that it's the number of people that I'm reaching and helping, that matters to me. But, it'll go back up. Because the people who want what I'm putting out are going to subscribe, and the people who don't agree with me are going to go away. But at least, I think ultimately being more genuine and more who I am is going to be an uptick overall.
Yep. Yeah, definitely let us know. I want to hear the. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be a little tiny blip.
I think it's going to be a little tiny blip.
I
don't. Yeah.
Much of an impact overall.
And I can say, just to since I've made the shift myself with YouTube as well, I've just about hit, right now I'm at 39,577 subscribers on YouTube, right? Like things have taken off. Like it is, sometimes there's hits, a video comes out, a bunch of people say, and unsubscribe. But in general, it's a better approach. The people would rather hear the honest truth, even if they don't like it, than some, someone that's pandering to them and saying all kinds of nice, beautiful language that sounds great. Everyone can kind of agree with that, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yep.
So it's better to mean something.
Yep. Anyway, I've got to jump off and get a speaker lined up. So, sorry to jump in the middle of the show and crap all over everything, but I think it was important for our listeners to hear, because I know that the show was part of the issue, and I kind of wanted to just check in and make sure that whatever was said by me and by others was at least understood in context. So
we should definitely all follow Derek's advice, though. Derek had a good point. We should let everyone know that when they're involved with us, they're involved with the show.
Yeah, you're going to get talked about.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. I'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. See you, Chuck.
All right. See you, Chuck.
Bye.
We should play the outro music now and then come back for more. It'd be like Pixar, how there's more after the credits. So.
Yeah.
To be continued.
I'm proud of Chuck though, because he's taking a stand. He's fighting these battles that have been brewing for long times, and this is a good place.
Yeah.
I think for him. I think it's a lot of pain and a lot of like Derek said, change. Change is painful, but that's how you grow. So.
Yep. It sucks, but we move on.
Speaking of growing, I'm having some pretty awesome success. I just mentioned on the YouTube. We're just about to click that 40K subscriber mark. Been hitting 5,000 new subscribers a month.
Jeez.
And I went yesterday. I went and I don't know if you're familiar with Eli, the computer guy, but he's got 800,000 subscribers on YouTube. When you go to his channel, Simple Programmer shows up as a suggested channel next to it. So, or as a related channel. Fun Function shows up under there.
Nice.
I've been doing some crossovers too. I interviewed Chris Hawks on Simple Programmer, and people love that. So there's a real value to the crossover audience type of thing. I did the same thing with the Engineered Truth guy, with Matt from Engineered Truth. And I actually reached out to Eli. A couple of my subscribers had said, hey, you need to get Eli, and message Eli. And Eli said, well, have John email me. So I emailed Eli, the computer guy himself, and he's going to come on Simple Programmer.
Nice.
People are going to
Nice.
die when they see it. Like it's crazy. If you look at the comments from these crossovers, it's like Batman and Superman together. Like kind of, that's how people react. They're like, I can't, because they watch both of our channels, right? And so when they see it, those two worlds collide, they're just like super thrilled to see two people that they follow.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't realize how powerful the effect was, right? But it's like if you look at the comments on both of those crossovers I've done, people are just like super excited. They're like stoked. When they say Eli on here, they're going to be like even more so. So I think this is a good growth method, and will be pretty cool here. So and plus that you get that related channel type of thing. People are, the more I didn't even realize it, but the more that your audience crosses over to someone, like if you recommend a really high profile channel on YouTube, then you have subscribers in common. And if you have a lot of subscribers in common, then your channel gets recommended with their channel, and your videos get recommended because they're related. I mean, you think about it, Google's algorithm is basically defined the connection. Like it's, they have a neural net type of algorithm that is figuring out, okay, how are these things connected? And so this is what we should suggest. And so there's a huge advantage in doing that. But that's pretty cool. I'm excited. Like Eli is a really awesome guy. Like I've watched a lot of his videos and stuff, and I've used a lot of the advice from him. He's a really balanced guy, so that'll be.
It's kind of funny that you should mention neural net and algorithms and recommendations and all that, because I think a lot of people misunderstand how simple, stupid those recommendation algorithms really are.
Yeah.
They crunch a crap ton of data for sure, and there are some big advances in how things get categorized and recommended. But ultimately, there's this joke going around Twitter that says something like, AI of the future was supposed to tell us everything that we ever wanted to know, and instead Amazon tells me, you just bought a wallet. Would you like to buy another wallet?
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's been growing pretty rapidly. So my goal is to hit 100,000.
Nice.
By the end of the year.
I'm up to 1,072 subscribers. I think I get.
I have 49.
My total subscriber count is as much as John gets in 1 week. Less than John gets in 1 week.
I have 49 right now.
Yeah, but you had like 4 when I subscribed to your channel a week ago, so that's pretty good growth.
Yeah, so that's but see, most of that came from my email list, and I don't think I'm not gonna be able to push that kind of growth every week. So
remember too, I'm dropping 2 to 3 videos a day, and I've been doing this for a long time.
I'm doing a video every day, so
right.
Oh, you are nice.
Yeah, I'm doing one every day.
You'll start getting a lot more subscribers that aren't on your mailing list. You'll start showing up in suggested and related pretty quickly, and it'll start compounding pretty quickly. The only reason my growth has stalled is because I haven't done a YouTube video in like a month or 2 months at this point. Things got crazy and I stopped doing it, and I need to get back into the habit of doing that.
Yeah, mine are just complete crap. I literally
they don't need to be anything else. They don't.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, like I get up, I do my journaling, and then like before my kids wake up, I'm like, okay, 10 minutes. Basically I walk over to my computer, I fiddle with my lighting, and I hit record, and I do 5 or 6 minutes, and upload it. And I'm not even putting a description in the thing, nothing. It's like just a headline.
Okay, that you need to fix. You need to put at least. Well,
I'm going to, yeah.
I will, but you need 2 sentences of description, and you need keywords.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Those are the things that are going to get you in the suggested and recommended, and that's going to help your growth.
Yeah, I'm going to have somebody go back and do all that for me. I'm just getting in the habit right now.
Start doing it yourself. You've got a lot of videos in there already. Start with just take it one step. Tomorrow, when you record your video, put a 1-liner description.
Are you trying to get Josh fired?
Yes.
He's going to work for Simple Programmer, dude. He doesn't have time for this.
Josh, what you're doing is stupid. You need to be focusing on Simple Programmer.
There we go.
Jeez.
No, it's a good idea, though, to get the habit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yes.
build the habit one step at a time, though. Now that you're
Yeah.
doing the videos, add a one-liner description tomorrow.
Yeah. Probably
then
what
do
would
that-
make
do
sense
that
would be
for
to
2
do it in a
weeks.
batch. Is like go back once a week and just hit 5. Because I'm actually not even going to YouTube and uploading them. I'm actually the tool that I'm using just is like a one-click upload. I record it,
Okay,
one-click upload, so I don't even go to YouTube at all. So
gotcha.
going back and doing it as a batch would make sense. But I pretty much would like just put like as for keywords it would be like email marketing.
Well, it's who was it that we had on a year or two ago talking about
Jake.
YouTube? Yeah, Jake.
Mhm.
He made the point of you need to have a keyword that is unique to you, and that needs to be in every one of your videos.
Yeah.
So even if you just pick that one keyword right now, and that's it, it could be a nonsensical word that doesn't mean anything, but it needs to be in all of your videos. And for me, it was pretty obvious. Watch Me Code goes into all of my videos. And since I started doing that, I'm starting to see a lot more of my videos in the up next list.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious for me.
Interesting.
Mine is Simple Programmer 69. So
Right.
yeah. I think that's what Rodrigo put in there. Actually, I actually think that is it. It's fun. Let me see what. No, it's John SP69. So there you
we
go.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. It must mean something in Brazil because
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, guys. But
Oh man. So hey John, one thought I had while you were talking about the collaborations. If we're having trouble pitching, we probably wouldn't want to do this for everybody. So this came up this week. So we did back up. So we did last week. John and I were at SumoCon, and the last presentation of the weekend was fantastic. It was Noah Kagan got up there and he was like, "Okay, you guys all spent $1,000 to come here. It was $500 for the ticket, $500 for your plane. So we're going to make $1,000 for you in the next 45 minutes. So you pay for your conference."
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool. So what we did was, I just got why he gave us the dollar bill, John. That was so because remember he said he told us we needed to come up with 3 ways to make $333, and the last dollar was the dollar bill he gave us. He didn't bring that out because we walk into the conference room and there's like every table has a dollar bill, like every place has a dollar bill sitting in front of it. So so he basically said we need to make $1,000 in 45 minutes. We need to spend 15 minutes finding a way to save, like, was it like $20 a month or something? Find one way to make $333 from our current customers, and then one way to get $333 from new customers. And so he had us. So we split it up. We had like 15 minutes to do all this stuff. And when we he said, okay, now it's time to make money from your current customers. So we sent an email to everyone that had bought from Simple Programmer, and we offered them a discount, like a limited 10 slots only beta access to the real estate course that we're working on. And
from our phones.
From our phones. We literally are sitting there typing, like, okay, John's like, okay, I just created the discount code, and I'm like, all right, I'm building the segment in Drip, on my freaking phone.
Right.
And then we typed up. It was like the worst email copy ever. It was like, and I had a hard time even getting it copy and pasted into Drip, but we sent it out, and then we ended up making like almost $2,500 from that one email because it sold out in less than 4 hours. We had all the slots sold.
No,
And
And
it wasn't
the
fake
sales
scarcity at all. It was 10 slots. We gave 10 coupon codes, and that was it.
Yeah.
And those sold quick.
Yeah.
So
And we only sold 10. And we only sold 10. Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the sales page for that is a joke. It's like it's a $500 product. We're charging for it, and there's like 4 paragraphs of text on the page.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like not even. It looks really sketchy to begin with. But yeah, so that was really cool. It was a really, really good presentation, and then and it was really powerful. But so afterwards, I tweeted. John posted it in the Facebook group too, but I tweeted our results and like a screenshot of all the sales we made, and I copied Noah on it, and Noah retweeted it, and we got I got a bunch of new followers. I got some people signing up for my email list. It went crazy on it had more reach than any tweet that I've sent possibly ever.
Wow.
We were just missing the
Anyway,
link to the
so
course.
Well, I know I wanted to make sure that
The image, yeah.
yeah, that we had enough room for the image. It was really tough. Like I couldn't have. I don't
Yeah.
think we could have fit everything in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he would have retweeted it without the image.
Right.
True.
But so anyway, all that being said, the reason I mentioned that is because I'm going to be looking for more ways to do that. Like somebody's described it as building a shrine. Like you do something that someone recommends, and then you tell them about it and all the results you got. So I'm thinking like with and it's a really good way to do outreach. So I'm thinking with the YouTube stuff, John, if you want to reach people and they're like kind of a couple levels above us, do a video talking about something that they did and then send them the video. And instead of like hitting them up with some kind of pitch right out of the gate,
Yeah.
that would be a great like icebreaker to, to kind of get that ball rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so far we've had pretty good success, actually. Most people that Rodrigo has outreach to have said, yeah, let's do it. Part of it, it'll really help once we have Eli, because we'll be able to say, hey, we've interviewed Eli, and everyone kind of knows who he is. I think also what happens is that they've seen my videos be suggested on their videos, right? And so I think that because we're reaching the right people. But yeah, I totally agree. I mean, well, and that's that formula for getting your testimonial on someone's page, right? Is like, if you want to get your testimonial on someone's website, you tell them how what they did actually like caused a benefit in your business, or you got results from it, and then they, you're likely to get that, as opposed to just sending them email saying, I love your stuff. Well, okay,
right.
That's awesome. But yeah, no, I think that can help, especially with the bigger channels. There's a few big ones. I think like the Linux Tech Tips or something like that. That's like, he's got like 3 million or 4 million subscribers.
Oh, wow.
That would be a good one, and that would be a good strategy for that, is just going through, because he's got a lot of actually useful stuff that I've actually utilized that I could talk about and stuff.
Yeah, you could do a video like recommending him,
Yeah,
and his stuff, and then send it to him. But
I had a .NET Rocks episode go out this week too.
Nice.
what was that one about again? Was it soft skills or?
Yeah, apparently they're gonna have me on once a year to talk about soft skills. Like the career, talking about your career and soft skills. This one was, we talked a lot about like just like dealing with haters, dealing with overcoming fears and stuff like that, and personal development type of stuff. So
Sweet.
Oh, Derek, I got a catchphrase finally. So I did. This was worth. Well, AppSumo, dude, you should have went to the conference. But I know that your son was sick as well, so you probably wouldn't have been able to, even if you got tickets. But next year for sure, $500 well spent. I think the price is going to go up.
Yeah.
It's freaking in my backyard too. So.
I know. I had no idea. I just spurred the moment sign up for this because I saw the deal. I was like, it'll probably be all right. Oh, you know what I did? I said, well, Nathan Barry will be there, Brian Harris will be there, and Noah. If I go there, I can I've got some relationship with them. Josh does. Let's strengthen those bonds because those are good. At least I'll be making connections, or they're strengthening connections. So I said, for $500 and a weekend, I'll go do that. But it turned out to be, I didn't want to say this, but it did turn out to be a better value than MicroConf, to be honest with you. Just because of, so this is what your $500 got, right? And MicroConf is great. I don't want to I love MicroConf. I'm going to be going every year. I love it. But they underpriced SumoCon, right? And this is
right.
Your $500 got you 3 days of speakers, 2.5 days. I guess 2 days total because of half and a half, but of a ton of talks. I don't know how many talks there were, but it was a lot.
They were all 30 minutes, so they kept them tight. Yeah.
Right.
And they were all relevant. They were all highly relevant to anyone doing digital marketing and to really good stuff, way better than what I expected. Very, very, and high profile speakers giving real tactics and strategies, really valuable stuff. You got a dinner on Friday night at a farm, a nice dinner, right, with an open bar.
Nice.
a full open bar, like
Yep.
lots, not just a couple of beers, like a lot of stuff, right? And then you got breakfast the next day, which I didn't eat. Josh did though.
Yeah.
Josh, shame on you.
Um, it
I
was
ate
good.
lunch too. I ate
Yeah.
lunch, too.
Oh.
Then they gave you lunch, right? And then on Saturday night they rented out a bar, like a in downtown Austin, and you got another dinner spread there of beef brisket and all kinds of awesome stuff, and another open bar.
Wow.
And then you got $1.
$1, yes.
$4.99.
Yeah, and then
You got a
we-
$1 refund, and then you made $2,500 while you
Yeah.
were there. I mean,
So it was just insane. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the open bars alone were probably, I don't know, worth like $50 a person.
yeah,
I mean, I didn't drink very much at all. Like, I had a couple of drinks, but still, like, I mean, it's a high value. Like, yeah. And I think they did breakfast the next day on Sunday, and they also did a box lunch which still, I mean, that's just a ridiculous amount of value.
yeah. I need to go to that next year. I mean, it's an hour and a half south of me. I'm kind of pissed I didn't know about it, and I wouldn't have been able to go anyways because of my son. But yeah, I need to go.
But,
Well, you started this segment by saying you have a new tagline.
oh yes, that's what. Thank you. So while I was there,
open loop.
I've always had a hard time, like, because people are like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a life coach for software developers. They're like, oh, okay. And then I was like, well, I'm like the Tony Robbins for software developers. Like, oh, okay. Sees that the infomercial or
Yeah, the
like no, he's personal development. It's like, oh, so you're a motivational speaker. I'm like, well, no, he does like all areas. Never mind. So it's like, so then, and so then I'm like, what do you do? Okay, well, I run a site that helps software developers with self-development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I've got it though. Now my answer is I help software developers learn how to be cool. And so, and then that gets interest, right? People are like, whoa, that's okay. That's interesting. How do you do that? And that's the question I want, is how do you do that? Because once you've got that, how do you do that question, now people are interested. Now I say, okay, how I do it is through personal development. I teach software developers all the non-technical skills. And so that seemed to be landing. Like Josh can probably attest for it. It's like when I said that, people are like, oh, okay, I'm interested in that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. That's like live on the spot A/B testing, right? It's like
Right.
you see the head snap up and the eyes open. Oh, like he'd consistently get a surprise response.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
that is, what you're going for.
Nice.
So yeah, so that's it. That makes it simple, makes it easy, and then I can go into details and
Yeah.
people. Yeah. And then I also came up with, as I was thinking about it, I was like, how to describe it further. And I came up with that I'm 1/3 Tony Robbins, 1/3 Tim Ferriss, and 1/3 Bill Gates. Like that's my makeup, is because it's not that I'm qualified as those people, but I'm not trying to equate myself, but I'm saying that, Tony Robbins, motivational self-development, Tim Ferriss, self-experimentation, and Bill Gates, programming. So, but yeah, that was worth the $500 alone for me, is to have that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, my goal for you mentioned MicroConf, and my goal for this year, honestly, as I had been hoping and planning and whatnot that for MicroConf 2017 that I would be able to submit a user talk, an attendee talk, one of the 10-minute sessions that they do. And I really wanted my attendee talk to be something along the lines of how MicroConf can, triple your revenue and all that kind of stuff. And at this point, I'm thinking, I seriously am legitimately thinking about as soon as they start planning it and start opening up the slots, I'm probably going to pitch an attendee talk, something along the lines of burn your house down to build a better one.
I like it. Good. I'll submit one called, how to invest in real estate, build houses you can burn down.
We'll make the entire user attendee talk session about real estate and houses.
Yeah.
And whatnot. But really, I mean, when I look at the last 6 months of Watch Me Code, it's that's effectively what I'm doing, and that's something that I can finally say with certainty at this point in time. It's, in the last couple of months, it's been like, well, things aren't going as well as I want. The revenue is kind of sort of maybe there, but in looking at my actual trend lines in Baremetrics now over the last 6 months, I mean, I legitimately am burning the house down. But as a result of that, I've made huge strides in moving Watch Me Code forward and really providing more value and being more explicit about that value and learning how to express that value in a better way. So the end result, I'm still hopeful about this, in spite of last week with me legitimately questioning whether or not this is a valid business model. I'm still hopeful that within the next 3 to 6 months, I'll be able to turn this thing around and have a real business that is generating profit again and able to get me out of debt again and start looking at rehiring some of the people that had been doing work for me.
Well, how many times has Tiger Woods rebuilt his golf swing from the bottom up?
3 or 4 times.
And that's a painful process. That's burning your house down and rebuilding it. Like when you're the best in the world and you're like, no, the only way I'm going to get better is if I start over.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think there's a powerful concept, and hopefully that you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel pretty soon here. But you've made positive changes, and you've, at the very least, you've become a stronger person. A stronger entrepreneur, able to handle the kind of stuff that you're dealing with now, like a couple of years ago, would have wrecked you and you just give up.
Yeah.
But now you're the person that can take that. And so you're a person that can handle bigger problems. And so you can go after bigger rewards. So yeah, right. I mean, that's why like a lot of my psychology, personal psychology, is always focused on growth. It's like, because growth is the number one thing. So if you grow, you'll be able to tackle the other thing. Like the other stuff will come. Like if you can be the strongest person that you can, then that's the ability that's going to enable all the other things to happen, right? So yeah. So
for me, that kind of growth in the last couple of weeks has been showing itself, even with that simple change to the message on the homepage. Just putting Node.js for backend developers.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like such a ridiculously simple change. Well, it's just text. Who cares, right? But when it comes down to it, me putting that message on there, making that conscious choice, it's not as dramatic, but it's along the same lines as what Chuck is going through right now. He's very deliberately saying, I no longer care to cater toward this group of people. Yep. And that's the same level of conscious decision that I'm making. Yep. I was faced with the choice based on feedback from the most recent round of surveys that I did for Watch Me Code subscribers. I was faced with the choice of, do I focus on front-end stuff because that's what these people want? Or do I say, bye-bye to the front-end people because that's not what I care about. It's not what I want to do. It's not who I am anymore. I'm not the marionette guy anymore. I'm not the front-end architect anymore. There's plenty of great front-end architects, and there's not that many on the back-end side right now, and I'm really enjoying the back end of architecture with Node.js. So let's make that conscious decision, and let's move forward, and let's say goodbye to those people that wanted me to be the front-end person.
Yeah, it's a tough. There's a really good book on this. Is a book called Built to Sell. And it's all about that. It is essentially about this story of this fictional advertising company. I think I've talked about it before, but it's worth a read, especially since you're going through this. But essentially, the advertising company, they're doing pretty well, right? Like they're making a lot of money, and they did full service advertising. So they would do brochures, they would do logos, they would do all kinds of stuff. And the guy who owns the business, he's working really hard. He wants to sell the business, so he goes to this like billionaire mentor, and the billionaire mentor is like, you can't sell it. It's worth nothing. basically.
Mhm.
It's like, well, why are you crazy? It's like, well, because you have to be in the business, and
Mhm.
like you don't have a specific thing that you don't have a like you don't. So the guy is like rejects that idea, and then finally he comes back and he's like, okay, well, tell me how to do it. And he's like, well, you're gonna have to burn it down the house essentially, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, and basically, he's got these really big clients. He's working on these really big deals, and it comes down to this idea. It's like what you do best is you have like a logo design process that's what you're really good at. Like, and so you need to make that your only focus and kill all the other clients that want you to do this other stuff. And so he's got a couple of big contracts that he's just like, no, I can't do that. And then finally he like kills these big contracts. So he's like, sorry, we only do logos now. And they're like, are you crazy? Like, we're giving you millions of dollars. Nope, sorry, we only do logos now. And he develops this really good process. He very clearly defines what his value is and why you should hire his advertising firm, and sets him apart as the one. They have a patent logo process, this 5-step logo design process, and they produce the best results. And then, at first his business starts to die, right? He's losing all this money, and the billionaire is like, hold the course. This is what you need to do. You need to define your audience really clear. You get rid of the people that do not match with you because you're spending too much time in dispersing yourself, and be the expert. And eventually he starts to bring on more clients and a lot of referral and word of mouth. And pretty soon he's got this business that is now generating a lot more money. And now it's actually sellable and worth money because it has a process. He can train people to do it. It's sort of like, kind of combines some of the E-Myth, from that, but really good. Just thinking about, the idea of building a company to sell, and just this idea that we've all we're all kind of coming into this idea that you've got to narrow your audience. You cannot be the person who pleases everyone, right? Whether it be, the way that I've done it, with personality in YouTube, or the way that Chuck's done it just recently with saying similar kind of personality, but his levels of standards and what he wants to have, and with the way that you're doing it with Watch Me Code, and narrowing down that service to be, what you like doing, what the audience that you want to serve, as opposed to, and I think that's the route. It's painful, but that's the way to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, to see if just changing the messaging to focus on that is going to, what kind of an effect that's going to have. With all the changes I made on the homepage, I think there's going to be some positive effect. It's a lot more clear now what Watch Me Code is and what it provides compared to even just a few days ago.
Yeah.
So that'll be good, and it'll let me. It frees me from the constant nagging of, well, I should really start doing some React and some Vue.js and some Angular, which I hate.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
It was like, nope, I don't do that.
Yep.
Oh, look, there's Egghead.io. They do the front-end stuff. Go over there because they have some amazing front-end content. You want Node? Do you want back-end architecture?
Yeah.
The
The problem there is like, same issue I had with Sublime was you aren't doing that stuff all day. So you can create really kind of mediocre, crappy content around that stuff, but it won't have the kind of meat to it that it needs to be really awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be doing it every day to really have that level of depth to the content.
Yep. And this is the stuff that I'm doing every day. This node-based architecture with Express and RabbitMQ and even Oracle and all these back-end services and messaging patterns and keeping code clean on the back end and all that.
And the other thing that's nice about this too that you mentioned with Egghead.io is now you won't be competing with them, you'll be collaborating.
Right.
Exactly.
And so if you send referrals to them and say, if you want front-end stuff, these guys are awesome for front-end stuff, they're likely to turn around and say, you want back-end stuff? Well, here's the guy for the back-end stuff. And I think that's a valuable place to
defining what you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so incredibly freeing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to do that, though.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
The
but-
JavaScript at this point is such a broad spectrum as well. It's not possible to be able to focus on all aspects of it. I mean, even a company like Pluralsight, they have to hire hundreds and hundreds of authors in order to cover the broad spectrum of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I got another random question for you guys, sort of random, related. Last year at this time, I was sending out emails to my mailing list with a mad dash rush to get new subscribers with my birthday coming up. So last year I turned 37. I did a 37% discount for the first 37 subscribers, which, from a $14 subscription brought it down to, $9 or whatever. And I sold those 37 slots like literally in the first 30 minutes of sending out that email.
37 minutes probably.
Yeah, 37 minutes of sending out that email, exactly. So I'm turning 38 on Tuesday, and I was considering doing the same thing again this year, but only for the annual subscription. Like say, hey, look, turning 38 on Tuesday, so Tuesday morning at this time, Central Time, you'll get an email with a link to
You should send the email your actual birth time too. That would be kind of cool.
That would be at like 11:15 at night.
Okay, well that would be
that would be a bad idea. That's a terrible idea, Josh. What's wrong with you?
terrible.
Jeez. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm considering doing it again. Like on Tuesday morning, September 20th, I'll turn 38. The first 38 people to click the link in that email will get 38% off of the annual subscription.
Say how successful it was last year.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Show a
I mean,
screenshot if you can, or something like that.
I don't know if I can.
Even if you can't, just as long as you talk about like in so many hours sold it all out, or whatever it was.
Yeah, but it was literally gone in minutes. I mean, and
there you go.
To the point where I had to send out a second email saying, "Holy crap, this went so stinking fast! I never expected this." But here, the rest of you that want, a subscription on my birthday, here's another discount code. It's only 20% off, and I sold like another 100 of those that day.
No, go for it. It worked for you last year. You'll be
I agree.
Do more.
I doubt you'll sell it out.
Yeah,
I doubt you'll sell it out this time.
$350 subscription this time around. So,
but you'll still have
right.
The psychology will be there. You might sell 5 or 10.
Right.
Which would
be great. I would love to have a $3,500 birthday.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it.
The worst you can do is someone will publicly assail you on Twitter. That's it.
Oh, that happens anyways. I don't care. My mute button is on hotkey at this point.
I'm wondering if a certain podcast I recorded is not going to air. It's a shame, but we'll see.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, I recorded a podcast for Code Newbie. I don't know. I'm wondering if I don't know if with the Chuck thing and all that, it might be like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I hope it does. Yeah, it was a good interview, so I hope it does. Yeah. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I always record my interviews, by the way, on my end. Don't know if you do that, but that way you've got it. If they don't air it, you could still have it. You could still use it somehow, get it transcribed or whatever. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's true because the content. Yeah. Like, this is that'd be kind of interesting. Like to actually just publish the audio and be like,
only publish your side of the audio though.
Yeah.
So there'll be these extremely long periods where it's like dead silent, and then you'll laugh for a moment, and then another minute, and you'll say, "Yeah, totally," and then another minute, and you'll laugh, and then say, "But I think you're right."
I could do voice distortion on the other side of the audio and
there you
go. Keep it anonymous. No, I actually do have my side recorded of the interview, or unless I deleted it. But
so I'm making a serious push into AdWords here. And it's actually, I mean, it's pretty early to see if we are going to get any results out of it, but so far it's looking really good. So I basically set up retargeting for our products. So it took me about a day to do all this, but basically what I did was I went in and I said, okay, everyone who subscribes to one of our email courses, put them in a group, in a remarketing group. And then I'm able to target ads specifically at them for the course, for the product that the course sells. And I even got it to where during the 2-day window where I'm offering them the discount, the ads are offering the discount. So they can get the same discount code. So it'll be reinforcing what's happening in the emails. And so far it's looking like, I mean, the click costs and everything that we're getting are looking like the math is going to work.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty cheap. Like it's like, maybe 80 cents a click or so. And when we're selling a $200 product or a $300 product, that should be able to pay off. It's not going to be a ton of sales, but I think it'll help. So what I did, like in the last couple of weeks, what I did was I put together, I read the 10X rule that John had recommended.
Good book.
It was so basically I put together a list of like, all right, if I do all this stuff, I will double. What would it take to double our business in 6 months, basically, or double our product sales? And then I listed literally like everything I could think of, and it's like all this little stuff. Like we're going to be, I'm spending the time finally to get a shopping cart system that lets us do the one-click upsell thing, so that you click to buy, we take your credit card information, and then before you check out, you just make you another offer, like a one-time offer, and you can say yes or no. Little things like that will, that alone probably will add $500 to $1,000 a month in revenue. And it's just like, if I can do like 4 or 5 of those things every month, within 6 months, we will easily have doubled our product sales with what we've got, without really having to, without releasing anything else. So yeah, so I've been doing a ton of that kind of little stuff. And one thing I did after, so we're testing out tiered pricing on how to market yourself. So I took how to market yourself and I chopped it up and I made a $99 version, a $199 version, and a $299 version. And so far we're only selling the $299. It seems like it's actually increased it seems like it's actually having them broken up that way has actually increased the conversion rate overall. Like we're selling, at least it's still early to tell, but we've been selling 1 per day. Oh, and our we're selling monthly installments now too, so we can do 3 monthly payments of.
Yeah, I wondered
$99.
about that.
Yeah.
When I was talking to the guy that signed up for the monthly earlier this week, that thought crossed my mind. He was talking about how $350 was too big up front, and $30 was even on the high end, but he decided to give it a try, and I wondered, because I was thinking about conversations with Brennan Dunn at MicroConf earlier this year and how he was doing that, and I started thinking, I wondered what would happen if I did monthly installments for the $350, the annual. Basically, it's the same price. I mean, when you look at the monthly versus annual on my site, it's actually cheaper to get the annual by like $12 or something like that.
Right.
But you get a lot more features out of it. So what if I just said, all right, I will lock you into a 1-year contract, monthly installments of $30, where you can't unsubscribe before then.
Well, the only problem is you've got that money back guarantee, so that sort of. I wonder if you could just split it up into 2 payments.
Yeah.
I think so. My take on this, and I could be wrong, but my take is that the 2-figure to 3-figure thing is a big psychological barrier. So if you can get it down below $100, if you can get it down to even 4 payments of $99, that might help.
Right.
So I don't know. Like ours is so far, like in the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the last 6 days, we have sold 1 copy of How to Market Yourself per day. And so far, like 5 of those 6 have been on the monthly payment option, and only 1 has been full price. So I just put I think I published the grid, like the 3 different price tiers on like Tuesday or Wednesday. So it's too early to tell yet if that's having any impact. But yeah, so far I haven't had any takers on the lower price tiers. So that is actually kind of making me think that maybe we could raise the price on the upper tier to $400. Because I mean, like it would be four payments of. I think that the $299 to $499 is kind of a dead zone. So I think that going to $399 and in 4 monthly installments probably wouldn't really hurt us.
Yeah, If we're only hitting the top end there, then we need to.
Yeah.
We could even shift everything up and make the top end be the bottom end. You know,
I really want to. John, I really want to rework this course. I feel like we could make this into $1,000 product that is like our flagship, like Brian's 10K subs, Brian Harris's 10K subs. Because like it's starting to feel a little bit like the blogging course to me, where there's like with the way that it's currently structured, like with the blogging course, I just got really frustrated trying to optimize the pop-ups with that, because it was like it was just a built-in cap on it, and I feel like we could rework this so it's like a heck of a lot more appealing and really blow the doors off with it.
I agree. I think we can. I think we've got to stay the course though. With the other stuff first, because we've got like I think there's a high probability of success there, but it's more of an unknown. Whereas we launch this real estate course next, we know we're going to hit. I mean, after selling out those 10 slots like that, it's kind of funny. You think, are people really going to buy a course on real estate for software developers? Yes, they are going to. I guarantee you at this point. They are, absolutely. Yeah. So, that will definitely be a guaranteed win. The book launch will be a guaranteed win. The Dev to Entrepreneur. And then we can go back and revisit. But I agree with you. It's also eating me. I'm like, I could do this better, could make it better, could change the title, can repackage this up. And
I think repackaging it, and like I think actually honestly, so Lewis, we got really good feedback from Lewis. I almost feel like Lewis is our prototypical customer. I almost feel like everything that who we met, Derek, I think you met him too at MicroConf, but he's just been giving us like amazing feedback on some of this stuff, and he went through the real estate course and gave us like a 2,000 word essay on what he'd like to see out of it. That was really, really good. And I kind of feel like he's like, if we could make Lewis really happy, I feel like we'd really nail our core demographic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all about like a lot of it was like about just being more prescriptive and more actionable.
Yeah, and he's really conservative, which a lot of our like really mitigating that risk on it. So
Yep.
So another tangential question for you guys. I mentioned Brennan in the concept of monthly payments and all that. But he recently released a drip course, a course on using drip and really maximizing it and using it effectively. I'll paste the link into the chat. It's wfreelancing.com/drip-course. And I don't remember how. Oh, he tweeted a sample video that he has up on there. And so I watched his sample video, and like in the first 5 minutes of this 10-minute sample video, I already had 3 things that I need to start doing with drip.
Nice.
And so it was like, holy crap, this product, shut up and take my money. And he launches it, and it's $500. And holy crap, I just fired everybody because I don't have $500 to spend this month on my marketing guy. Is that going to be a worthwhile investment for me, or should I just, struggle on and keep doing what I'm doing and try to pick up pick up some of this stuff on my own.
Well, so like, tell me a little bit more about what you got out of the video.
So the video specifically talked about using tags, which I've started doing, but then really taking advantage of tags in the email templates. So at the bottom of your emails, basically using every single email as an opportunity to mention a product that people are interested in based on their tags.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows how to do that with the liquid templating and everything. And it was a really simple thing to do that could have a really profound impact on getting products in front of people's eyes.
Yeah. I just created a
that they're interested in.
So for my webinar, so I'm going to be selling the webinar recording for my 6-figure email course webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a text expander snippet to just like that I can just throw into any email to exclude. Yeah. So I'll basically wrap all my pitches for that product in that, and it just excludes anybody who's already bought it. So
right. Right, and he was recommending, creating a custom template in Drips and setting your broadcast to always use that or something like that.
Okay.
And so I've looked through the whole the course that he has, and there's a crap ton of really good things that I need to learn more, on lead scoring, on templating, on better product launch sequences, on just a whole lot of really good stuff in this course. And I thought about asking him privately if I could get a discount or something like that, and then I kind of came to the conclusion that I don't want to do that for a couple of reasons, including just the idea that if I got it cheaper, I might not take it as seriously. The whole psychology of buying, investing, and instead of just getting something for free and throwing it to the side. And so I'm seriously considering buying this course because it looks amazing. I've already seen the kind of value that his sample video can provide. I think he's got the same sample video on the sales page. But I'm very concerned about the amount of money that I don't have right now compared to the price of the course that he's asking. And so I wanted you guys' opinion on whether that would be a worthwhile investment or if it's something that I should put off until later when I've got a better hold on my finances.
My gut reaction here is that I'm scanning through the page here. This looks like really good stuff. However, I feel like this is like ninja level. Some of this is like kind of ninja level stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you already have, you're probably not a ninja, but maybe you're a brown belt.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's not the biggest area for growth for you. Like I don't feel like if you really get all of your drip automation working, that's really going to double your business.
Right.
Yep.
And I agree with you there. I don't think
I think the stuff that you're working on as far as your website times more important.
Okay.
And this is more like, this is conversion optimization stuff. And it's like, if you've got something that's already working pretty well, then this is like, I don't know, putting in high performance spark plugs and, polishing engine parts and that sort of thing.
Right.
And what you've got right now is you've got sludge in the engine and you got to get that out first.
Right.
Is that that link I sent you? It maybe the entire contents of the course.
I don't know if that's the entire content.
Like, you know what I mean? The basic. Yeah. It may have come from this.
Yeah, so I should probably watch this because that's probably the majority of what I need. Yes.
And if you just click that link of the screenshot of his workflow, that basically tells you what he's doing, and you can reverse engineer that. So I don't think that you're going to get more than that. especially I agree with Josh, the level that you're at.
Right.
Plus, you've got the ultimate drip ninja right here, like Josh. I can't
Well,
imagine.
I think Brennan's taken, from what I've seen of some of the stuff he's doing, he's definitely come up with a lot of cool stuff that I have never thought of. Yeah. So I actually am considering now I'm tempted to buy this. So thanks, Derek. I think this would actually be more beneficial for us though, because we've got an engine cranking pretty well, and there are probably little things I could tweak on it that would make it crank better.
Right.
And I like the idea of the conditional tagging. Like I'm actually going to be doing little things like that because we do have broadcast emails that go out that would be easy to like have that some kind of promotional text tagged in. Actually, John, that would be kind of cool. Like if our sponsor craps out on us, we might be temporarily anyway. We could always pitch email courses in the broadcast emails.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So like because like we've got the blog post emails that are going out, so we could put a conditional. I'm going to make a note about this. So we could put a conditional in at the bottom of that template that pitches whatever email course they haven't taken.
Mm-hmm. So two things. One, I don't think our sponsor is going to crap out on us. I don't know if you saw the latest email after my email, which was, and then two,
email poo.
Go to Hacker News right now and look at the top post.
Derek Bailey. The Investing for Geeks. Yeah, yep. Patio 11. I just got the email. Yeah.
Yeah. I just sent him a quick email and point him to the real estate course. So that kind of double confirms that made it to the top of Hacker News. So.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to save this post and like read all the comments.
Yep.
Make me do that real quick.
Because I just hit news.ycombinator.com and I'm not seeing what you're.
You don't see Investing for Geeks as number one?
Oh yes, Patrick McKenzie.
Right.
Yeah, Patrick McKenzie wrote an article. So, and he's basically just an index fund investor. So.
Yeah. So that's why I sent him the link to the real estate course, because he probably doesn't know about that, and maybe he'll recommend it and be interested in it. If we could get a nod from him or him to do another write-up and say, the real estate, this here, if you want to know about real estate, John knows about this.
Yeah. Well, because like John's strategy, we should actually, John, we should pursue that a little more, because basically your strategy is like index fund. Like it's kind of the Warren Buffett strategy, which is like the buy and hold. Like it's actually pretty low risk.
Yeah.
Even though like people hear real estate and the flags go up, so it would be interesting to try to persuade him that this is not insane.
Yeah.
It definitely took some persuading for me, so I think that's going to be a common reaction that we're going to have to deal with.
I think so, but
getting an endorsement from him, how cool would that be? Like, even if it was just basically like, I've talked to this guy and he's not crazy, right? Stick that on the sales page, Patio 11, that would be, if I was going to do real estate, this is the approach that I would use, Patio 11. Something like that would be killer.
Yeah. So we'll see. I sent out the email. I think he'll, he knows who I am. So
yeah,
like we'll see what happens. But it just goes to show you that there is definitely the market for it. So
yeah,
cool.
Nice. About like his article and talk about the parallel. Like if you were going, like if you agree with, like if you're going to do non-real estate investing, this is what you would do. Kind of like the reverse of what I'm saying we want from him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So, well, cool.
Cool.
But yeah, so Derek, I feel like this is probably not, it's like this is bright, shiny object syndrome. You're making some progress here.
Right.
You're heading in a good direction. And so this is when the bright, shiny objects are the brightest and the shiniest too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I kind of expected that response, and so that's why I hadn't bought it yet.
Yeah.
It's not a problem you're trying to.
John froze.
woke up.
Yeah, he did.
It's a solution without a problem for you right now, I think.
Yeah. So
Fair enough. So thoughts for the week then? I guess mine would be the burn your house down to build a better one.
Okay, I'm going to say mine is going to be not so philosophical for once, right? It's going to be practical, which is going to be I have discovered that lack of sleep plus
lack of food, right?
well, plus extreme physical exercise, plus physical exhaustion is the bad combination. So I can feel physical exhaustion, like I can run myself.
John has just discovered what every 2-year-old child in the world knows.
Yeah. So like I can run myself ragged, totally fine. Energy levels, like I'll be able to mentally focus. I'll be in good spirits, whatever. I can go without sleep. That's fine. I can go a week sleeping 4 hours a night or less. As long as I'm not doing heavy physical exercise, it'll be fine, right? Or deprived of food. But if you're like low on, maybe it's calories too, but I'm saying physical expenditure, which maybe involves calories as well, and low on sleep, very bad states occur. So that's like this Monday, like after we got back from the conference, I was basically, again, at this point where I'm like, I just want to burn it all down. And like, I'm just,
I was kind of there too. Like I actually crashed. I quit work at like 2:00 on Monday. I was just like, I can't do this anymore today. I'm done.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, why? And then I was like, I just went through this last week. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? Like, because I stay recovered. We talked about it on the show even, and I did some videos and I'm like, okay, I can't just keep on going through this. I'm not bipolar. Come on. So, what is actually the pattern here? And the pattern is that it is physical exhaustion plus lack of sleep. So I was like, okay, Monday night, I discovered that. I was like, okay, I'm going to bed early. I'm sleeping in late. And I did. And then Tuesday, back to my normal self again and totally fine and ready to hit it hard. And I've been hitting it hard since then in a much better mood. So it's like an obvious thing, I guess, but it took me this long to figure it out because I thought it was sleep or exhaustion. Yeah. It has to be the combination. In one of those I can handle, but both of them together just seem to be. And then the only cure for it is to get some sleep. I don't even have to cut back the physical level. That's fine. Like I'm able to handle that, but sleep.
Yeah. Well, and like you probably don't even realize it, but the sleep thing, I mean, people really underestimate the sleep issue. And even missing like one night of like 4 hours of sleep, basically the next day you'll feel fine, but you will be cognitively impaired as if you'd had several drinks. So it's really, really important.
Yep.
And like if you're trying to get in shape too, like that was one of the things that was a real struggle for me for a while, was trying to lose, I was trying to lean out and if you're not getting enough sleep, then you'll just like, it'll completely screw you up. So
5 years ago, I was doing a contract with it was a medical application. It was all focused around whole body health and getting people to a place where they don't need constant doctor visits and all that. And it was this giant process, this interview process and scoring and lifestyle changes and everything. And invariably, the very first thing that these doctors would talk to their patients about was their sleep schedule. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing they talked about, and that's the first thing they would fix. Because once they fixed that, everything else was easy.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't realize until like I said, I've been looking at the data, and it's like this is the factor there. So, and you always feel like you can get more done if you sacrifice a little bit of sleep.
Nope.
And it's worth it, and you can possibly in the short term,
yeah.
But not if you're also working out and losing weight. Like then you can't. In one day will kill you. So just go take the nap.
When you go on those short-term sleepless binges, you also need to compensate with short-term, eating binges in order to make it through that. And that is a long-term disaster. That's how you end up looking like me, being 60 pounds overweight.
Yeah. It becomes more hard. Definitely,
Yeah.
I would agree with you. To more difficult to eat healthy. Like your judgment goes out the window, is what happens.
It does. You can't plan for it. You can't compensate for it. It's bad.
So that's it. That's my thought. Non-philosophical.
Josh.
So yeah, I'll go with something that I think John's probably said this before because I got it from him. But he, like, with this, I was asking myself this question about what can I do to double our product sales in 6 months, and John likes to ask the question like, what can I do that won't fail? And that's just a really powerful question. What really powerful way to think about it is like the whole YouTube thing. John wants to get to 100,000 subscribers, so create 2,000 YouTube videos and you'll probably get there, right? It's going to be pretty tough to fail. So I'm doing that with Simple Programmer, and it's a powerful question to ask yourself. Like what would you do if you knew, if you had a goal and you had to come up with a plan that would absolutely guarantee your success, like what would that look like?
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely a powerful concept. That's what I kind of live my life by. Is that's my basic question is to ask that. So that's why that's why prolific is my answer usually.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Alrighty.
Guys. Let's see. We'll see what kind of drama develops after this episode as people tweet clips of bad things we've said. But all right, next week. Are we all here next week? Do we have?
I think so.
Okay.
Don't see any reason why not.
Yeah. Cool. All right. See you guys next week then.
See ya.
Yeah.